From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MPW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Friday morning edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. I am Chase Parham in the Clark Ford Studios. We've been doing every single Friday. Today you get the recording from last night's live show, the live Oxford Exxon Podcast from Funky's on the Oxford Square. One Ben Craddock joining us for the majority, or actually all of that show last night. We're going to talk a lot about him going to Canada with the Ole Miss basketball team, what that was like being around Kermit Davis for a lengthy amount of time for the first time, as well as what he saw from the team up there, whether Ole Miss basketball can land some blue-chip prospects, what's needed to take that next step for that program. We're also going to talk about Chad Kelly a good bit. Ben and Chad are very, very close. He's seen Chad's kind of rise in maturity and then locking down an NFL job as well now with the Denver Broncos. After that, we're going to talk a lot of college football. We're going to talk about Ole Miss. We're going to make picks for the week and much more on this Friday edition of the podcast. Also, let me make note that there is multiple other podcasts on the site this morning. We've got a Soft Verbal presented by Billy's Pecans. That is up, where there's still a lot of basketball and football talk, as well as Ole Miss, Alabama recruiting battles in that one. Also, an Oxford Crystal Beer Garden is up this morning. Ryan Brown, Neal McCready talking college football there on the site. Neal's Picks is up, presented by the Westin in Jackson, and much more, including a Russell Johnson Ask Me Anything on the message board currently. So tons of content at rebelgrove.com. Take advantage of that, and take advantage of the Oxford Exxon this weekend, as they've got multiple tailgate specials for everybody coming into town for Ole Miss and Alabama. They've got a 2 pounds of pork, 12 buns, 3 sides. They've got 1 pound of pulled pork, 6 bun special as well. 2 slabs of ribs, 2 sides. Those are quart size sides, by the way, big sides there. And then 3 slabs of ribs for $33, rounds it out. So whichever one of those suits you, takes care of the people in your party, head on over to the Oxford Exxon, take care of that. And again, I mentioned I'm in the Clark Ford studio, Clark Ford in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, Highway 25 South there in Amory. Give Corey a call, get a quote, 15 minutes in business hours, you'll have that quote. And when you get to the dealership to take care of that deal, at the very end, tell them about the podcast. You'll save $500 off your vehicle with Clark Ford. So without further ado, we'll go now to myself, Neal McCready, and Ben Craddock last night at Funky's on the Oxford Square for this Friday Oxford Exxon Podcast.
All right, welcome into another week of the Oxford Exxon Podcast here at Funky's on the Oxford Square. We've got a couple different specials for everybody in the house tonight. Again, we got $2 domestics. We got $12 pepperoni pizza as well. The mac and cheese pizza is available. I've been hearing about it all day again. I am starting to come around on it a little bit. So if you want the mac and cheese pizza, also available here at Funky's. Neal McCready. Ben Craddock is going to join us for a little while tonight as well. As always, we've got the Blue Delta Jeans trivia question will come up here in a little bit. An Ole Miss Alabama themed Blue Delta Jeans trivia question will come out. First person to put it on a napkin, bring it to me, tweet at me, however you want to do it. You get that question to me, and we'll give you a $200 gift certificate to Blue Delta Jeans for that today. But I'm going to start here, Neal. You've been in the house for about 35, 40 minutes. You've been watching the Cubs. You've been making all sorts of movements, hand signals. Who was the starting pitcher, and how many swipes of deodorant did we go with today?
Mike Montgomery was the starter. He wears number 38, so I am well deodorized. 38 on each arm. He went 4 innings. He did well. Now it's Carl Edwards, and there's not enough deodorant in the world to save him.
Yeah, did you know he did this, Ben? He puts the number of the starting pitcher for the Cubs. He uses that many swipes of deodorant every single day.
Neal, why?
It's just a long-standing superstition that clearly is not working tonight as the Cubs try to piss away the National League Central just a little bit further. You think I'd surrender by now?
Also in the house, it's Ben here. He is wearing the Craddock Court shirts. Craddock Court, obviously, at the Pavilion. The winner of our Blue Delta Genius Trivia question also will get a Craddock Court shirt in the color and size of their choice as well. But anyway, Ben, thanks for getting back on the mic, joining us for a little bit here. Ole Miss and Alabama, 6 o'clock Saturday from Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. We're going to talk some basketball. We're going to talk Chad Kelly. We'll talk some football as well, but and thanks for hanging out.
So you went to Canada. Did you speak Canadian? Were you able to, did you go up there thinking, hey, I got to learn Canadian?
Hey. Yeah, it was actually a great trip, and I actually realized I thought we were actually going for 5 days, not 7. So I ran out of clothes on the 4th day, which was great. And but no, it was really, I've never been to Canada, and it was really kind of cool to see and be around the new guys and new coaches. It was really a cool experience.
We'll get to the new guys and the new coaches in a minute. I want to know a little bit about what you did in Canada, because I know you weren't restricted to hanging out with the team. You got out and did some stuff. What did you do?
It was. I actually stayed with the team most of the time. And
I understand most of the time. I'm asking about the other parts of the time.
Actually Montreal is sort of like New Orleans. It's a bigger version of New Orleans, and it was really cool seeing the bars and seeing some other different things they offer. Yeah. And but it was fun. I mean, it was actually just being around the new coaches was a really cool thing, and getting to know them, and great experience.
Kind of take me through a little bit with you, obviously Kermit invited you on the go ahead, Neil. What is it?
No, I'm just laughing at the sudden diplomatic, politically correct answers. It's just the climate we live in these days. You have to be very careful with what you say.
I'm a snowflake, Neil. So chill out.
Yeah. It's the climate we live in.
It is.
That's true.
Say it 3 more times. Everybody in the place will get it now.
Come on, Neil, do it.
Sometimes you entertain yourself, you know what I mean? Go ahead. Chase is not happy with me right now.
Right now, Neil's not even paying attention. He's watching the game, so it could just be me and you, Chase.
No, it's all good. I'm just kind of curious, though. I mean, obviously, I want to talk a little basketball. Since you went to Canada with Kermit and the guys as they played those games, obviously really, really close with AK. They make a change. You got some mutual friends with Kermit, John Brady, and different things. What was kind of your impression of Kermit before the hires that came in and through as you started to form some semblance of a relationship?
I look back at Kermit and Coach Davis, and he was very well respected. He's always known for his defense. Always has tough teams, and I think the biggest thing with Coach Davis was he wanted to be at Ole Miss, and I know every other fan. We didn't want anybody that was just going to show up for 4 years and take a paycheck. And I think with Coach Davis from day one, he wanted to be here. He's got family in Tupelo, which is very important to him. And it was a really cool deal just being around him and seeing his style versus other coaches that have been around. And I knew he was actually different when we were on the plane. And we were sitting beside each other, and he had like a notebook out with names and numbers. And so I asked him, I said, "What are you doing? What is that?" And he said, "Well, these names and numbers are from everybody that used to buy season tickets. And so I'm calling each one of them, and personally, and asking them why are they not renewing their tickets, or why are they, trying to get the fan base and the ticket sales up." So he actually had a list of like 6 pages of people, and he was going down that list and calling everybody himself. So to me, he gets the business side of it, but as far as the coaching side of it, he's a lot different, more engaged. The kids are, the change. It was good. It was needed, and so his teams are going to play tough defense, and it's a good vibe right now, over there in the TUI Center.
Yeah, what is his own court style? What's it going to look like?
Do what?
What is his own court style going to look like?
He wants guys that, and he used the phrase, dog. I want guys that have dog. And so there was the game we played, the last game before we left to come back home, and we were down 27 points at halftime. And so he said, look, he looked at everybody on that bench. He said, I'm putting 5 new guys in every minute. until I find somebody that actually will, come in, scrap for balls, be that dog. And that was amazing to see. And we came back and won the game, which was really cool. But, he just wants kids that have heart and that will dive for balls, that will go for rebounds, not just shoot the ball and watch it and see if it goes in, but after you shoot it, go get the rebound. So his style, it's going to be fun to watch, but the teams he has will give 100% effort. I guarantee you that. That's what he expects.
Let me ask you this, because I get this asked a lot. I'm hosting a show in Memphis tomorrow from 2 to 4 that is kind of a basketball show. DJ Jeffries is visiting Ole Miss officially this weekend. He's kind of down to 3 schools. It's Memphis, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Dude Collins coming in from Memphis. Ole Miss is probably in the final 2 there. One of the Lawson kids is coming in who is a big-time player. Andy Kennedy, who you and I both know really well, tried to land those kinds of kids at Ole Miss. He got close, but close doesn't count in recruiting. I know this puts you on the spot a little, but to me it's the question. There's no question Kermit Davis's teams are going to play hard. There's no question they're going to play a different brand of defense. There's no question that they're going to be smart basketball players. I get all that, and that matters. But to ultimately get where you want to go, as you mentioned the dog, you got to land some horses too. How confident are you that whether it's this year or next year, but soon, they land not only guys who can be dogs, but they land the horses that can sort of lead the dogs?
Yeah, that's always been a tough one. We've always been close on some kids, being those horses. And I think with talking with these coaches, it's they have a different strategy, and everybody's different, but their connections to a lot of these schools with the high school coaches, it's different. The relationships are there. The kid you mentioned previously, that relationship, it's there. So they will actually bring. It wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if if it was next year they do get that dog or that horse. Their strategy is just 100-0 on recruiting. Everybody from head coach to every assistant to ops. It's all in. So. And he's already shown, he's got some guys in that are pretty talented, but defensively they can play.
Yeah.
And that's.
Oh, listen, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I said. I think he's going to change the culture on the floor. They're going to be a much better defensive team. They're going to play with that grit and all of that stuff. And maybe this is the cynic in me, and maybe it's the guy that watches a lot of basketball. I still think at the end of the day, you got to have that guy who can make the big play. You got to have a couple of guys who you can count on to consistently give you 21, 22 points. Not sporadically. I'm not picking on Terrence Davis here, but I'm talking about the kind of guy who, it's not the swing, but you pretty much know when he walks out on the floor, he's good for 22, and sometimes he's going to be good for 32. And you get another guy that's good for 18, and sometimes he's going to be good for 30. You got to have those kind of guys, and everyone competes for those guys. And the culture to land those guys is a complicated culture, and it's where Andy never could get over the hump.
Correct. But if you look at what's going on in college basketball right now, Neil, the big thing is the FBI, right? Okay, so if you look at that, the playing field's level. I mean that no one's out there doing anything dirty at all.
Yeah,
they can't.
Sure.
And so I think that will change a lot of programs that maybe didn't get that horse. Maybe they will now because somebody's not coming in there and taking that horse from them at the last minute. So I think you'll see college basketball the next 2 years to 3 completely change. You still have your Dukes, but because of the name brand, North Carolina. But you'll see other teams coming in and getting a kid that's a 5-star or whatever it may be because of a relationship, not because of something else.
And if you're right, and I think there's a pretty strong chance you are, if you're right, that is what's going to be interesting is it's the first time that in that environment that Ole Miss has been able to recruit to facilities and atmosphere and all of those things. Because even in the past, not only was Andy working against an atmosphere that was an environment that was not what you just described, but he was recruiting to Tad Smith and all of that stuff. It's why some of the kids coming in this weekend, it's sort of the first series of recruiting wars where I'm really intrigued. I'm just curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm with you because with AK, I think AK did such a great job with, getting the Marshall Henderson, the Stephon Moody's, Cullen, the Dre. I mean, he hit and miss on a couple, but he did a very good job of what he had to deal with at the moment. But but I tell you what, AK told me when when Coach Davis got hired, he said that's Ole Miss picked the right coach, and he said by far he'll take Ole Miss to the next level. He goes, I promise you, and they're close, they're very close friends. But he said they made the right hire with Coach Davis.
Take a break in the podcast today. The podcast is also brought to you by Locker Stockers. They take the hassle out of stocking your locker or suite for this game day season. The customer places the order, and they handle purchase and delivery of the locker to the locker or suite prior to game day. That works for Vaught Hemingway Stadium, the Pavilion, or Swayze Field when the seasons get here. So lock in that preseason price. Still another day, one more day before the home opener against Southern Illinois. So you should call today, 662-586-1487 or info@lockerstockers.com. The podcast also brought to you by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, DeSoto County, and Chattanooga. 30 years old this year, one of the oldest mortgage companies in the Southeast, leader in condo financing in Oxford and the float down option. So give them a call at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE, JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Also, if you are heading into town this weekend for the game and you need to stock up on your liquor, Oxford Wine and Spirits, a great place to do that. Located on College Hill Road, right next to Lost Pizza. Neil and I are in there very, very often. They got all the Cathead products, and they're trying to help you, the podcast listener. So if you spend $150 or more in there, 5% off wine, 10% off liquor when you tell them about the podcast being how you heard about the store. So Oxford Wine and Spirits, again, on College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. And then finally, the podcast brought to you in part by Tyson Drugs, TysonDrugs.com. They have a great app as well. They're located in downtown Holly Springs. 662-252-2321 is the phone number. They deliver wherever you are, and they're also now in Oxford as well with G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar, and they deliver in the Oxford area. So TysonDrugs.com. Now back to the show.
And that's what AK said.
So he told me all along, too. I mean, I think the one reservation, if you will, that Andy had was he wondered if some of the rumors about Ben Howland leaving Mississippi State were true, and he wondered if it came down to that, would Mississippi State go get Kermit Davis? It was never a knock on Kermit. He's a really good coach. He knows what he's doing. He won at Middle Tennessee, won for a long time. You're in a league where last year 7 teams got bids. I think another 7 will get bids this year. But to get those bids, if you go look at the teams that got bids that were borderline teams, Alabama with Colin Sexton, Missouri with Jonte Porter.
Yeah.
To get those bids, man, you got to have that one guy that night in and night out, you can count on him.
Correct. And I think with next year, with Terrence Davis, and watching him, in Kermit's offense, it's a little bit different. Davis, he's having fun again like he did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not thinking so much. His shot's better. Last year's shot was it was off every game. I mean, it seemed like. And he's so big and athletic. And but I look at a kid like Dom, 7-footer, and you watching him grow. And a lot of those kids, their abilities. I got to say, Coach Davis is getting more out of them. Just with the offense and the defense, changing things up, just changing the culture up a little bit. And I think it's going to be a fun year. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but it'll be a fun year for the.
You know what's interesting about DJ Jeffries, and I don't know him well enough to answer this question. I was on Jeffrey Wright's show in Memphis Thursday, as we tape this, and we were talking about what Ole Miss's sales pitch is to a kid like Jeffries, and I have no idea, seriously, whether this is appealing or not to him. Ole Miss doesn't have an NBA presence right now. Jeffries is likely a one-and-done, go to the league, play in the league for a long time. My God, he looks like an NBA player. He would be, at Ole Miss, the highest-profile recruit they've ever landed, at least in the modern era. Maybe there was some dude in the 30s. I have no idea. He also would be the face of the program day one. And if he does what most people think he will do, which is get to the NBA pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
If he does that, he's the face of a program for the next 10, 15 years in a lot of ways, the NBA presence that they've never had. And that might be more pressure than he wants, or that might mean nothing to him. I don't know. But if that's appealing, and it would be to a lot of people, it gives them a shot.
Yeah. But kids, I heard a kid on the plane talking. We were flying to Canada. When we forget they're 17-year-old kids, right? And like, I remember when I was getting recruited, I was committed to Louisiana Tech. Your favorite school in the world, right?
Well, it is in a gorgeous town.
Ruston's beautiful.
You think about the great cities in the world. You think Paris.
Yeah.
You think
Macomb.
Yeah. You think Monaco, and you think Ruston.
You do. Yeah. But I tell you, what got me as a 17-year-old kid, though, offered a full ride. Where the dorms were, where the student athletes' dorm was, there was a train that ran right behind it. You know what I'm talking about? There's train tracks.
Okay.
And so, anyway, my thinking was, this train's going to wake me up. And so that's one reason, seriously, that I did not even want to go there. I wanted to get sleep.
Oh, at Tech, Railroad Park. Yeah.
So
gotcha.
The dorm where we were, where the kids were, I got the athletes, the train track's right there. So I was thinking to myself, is that going to affect my sleep? And the next thing I remember that really got me was Coach Dunn and Coach Tuberville. When they came in, it was like a week before signing day. I was, with those late kids, and they said, you can go to Louisiana Tech and eat hamburger on a plane, or come to Ole Miss and eat a steak. Now it sounds silly right now,
sure,
as a grown man, but to me, I was thinking, damn, I want a steak. I don't want a hamburger on a plane.
Yeah, it's why recruiting, and Russell's in here right now. Recruiting's interesting because you sometimes just don't know
with a kid
what will or will not appeal to a 17-year-old kid. And I say that about DJ Jeffries. And when I say that I don't know, I have no idea whether that is appealing to him or not. To some kids, that would be like really appealing. And to other kids, they'd be like, man, I don't care. I'm going to go to the NBA. I'm going to play for Philly or Toronto or Milwaukee or the Clippers or whatever, and I'm going to make a gazillion dollars. I don't give a damn what school I go to. There's some of that, and there's some of the, I'm going to go to, he was going to go to Kentucky, and most everyone thinks that he backed out of the deal with Kentucky because it's a straight path to Memphis now that Penny's there and he played for Team Penny. And that very well could be true. I just don't know. But Ole Miss gets their 48-hour crack with him this weekend, and we'll see.
But see, I look at that deal and what you just said about Memphis. If he did go to Kentucky or Ole Miss or State, wherever he goes. Well, to me, if he didn't want to go to Kentucky, because everybody on Kentucky's roster basically is an NBA player. So it tells me right there, the kid wants something different. He wants to be the man on campus, not just another 5-star that the Cal has.
That's what's interesting about Memphis and that dynamic there. Yeah. And Penny's done a great job, and he's gotten them in on a bunch of guys. But when you're a player at Memphis, you're never going to be the guy because Penny is the guy.
Yeah.
Nothing against Kermit Davis, but there's nothing about his personality that makes him the guy.
Yeah.
DJ Jeffries or someone like him could come to Ole Miss and be the guy.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree. I mean, that's it, but you look at it, it is tricky, though. I mean, like Marshall Henderson, though. He came in, and we think about Ole Miss basketball. I mean, I know I still do. I think about Henderson, how much fun that run was, the championship, SEC championship. But I think of Ole Miss basketball, I think of Marshall. I mean, and that might be because I'm 40, but that age. But I don't think of the guys that are 60 years old or 70 years old. I don't even know their names. But, it's the day's age, and Marshall was such an intriguing player. And you never know what he was going to do on the court, So he was very. You gonna talk to me or just watch the game?
No, I'm good. I'm listening to you.
I mean, Chase, do you see him just watching the game as we're talking?
Yeah,
you see him? He's got his phone on. Or his phone's going right now, watching the game, and Lee's got the TV on the Cubs game.
He can't quit. And like last night,
I think about Marshall and I think about Steph Moody. Those are the two guys.
So when you think of Ole Miss basketball, is that it?
I think about Marshall Henderson and Stephen Moody.
And I go back to Justin.
And I've covered the last 10 seasons. Yeah. Those are the people. If you tell me to think about it, that's who I think about.
I agree.
Even though Marshall wasn't the best player on that team. Murphy Holloway was the best player on that team.
Yeah, Murphy. They had such a good makeup. Murphy and Buckner. But Marshall was just, you never know what he was going to do. That's the best thing about it. He sold tickets. And they got hot right there at the end.
And that's the other thing is to ultimately get the program to have the buzz that you want it to have. in the culture that is SEC basketball now, where they're playing all these freaking 8 o'clock games on a Wednesday night, and the games are on TV and stuff, to get people to come and to buy in and to believe in it and all that stuff, man, you need a star. You just do. You need.
But that's tough, though. I mean, those Tuesday games at 8 o'clock. I mean,
brutal.
Like I live in Jackson, so that's 2 hours and 15 minutes away. You can't. I mean, it's hard for people to make them, and if you don't have a place up here, it's impossible.
So to get people to do it, to get people to think about it, you've got to make it really exciting. And what makes basketball exciting is stars.
And you got to win.
There's no question.
So we kind of transition. Good time for the Blue Delta Jeans trivia question of the night. We've got a pizza coming our way for.
That's my pizza.
Yeah, for Craddock over here. But the Blue Delta Jeans trivia question tonight is twofold. How many times has Ole Miss beaten Alabama in Oxford, and then Ole Miss's combined point total in those wins? Both those necessary for the gift certificate from Blue Delta Jeans this week. How many times has Ole Miss beaten Alabama in Oxford, and then the total points scored for Ole Miss in those wins? Been a little easy the last couple of weeks, so we had to ramp it up just a touch, make you
that's tough.
Make you work a little bit. Again, send it on Twitter to either one of us over here. You can put it on a napkin and draw it, put it up on the table. Either way, we'll get that gift certificate to you as we turn sideways.
We've asked questions that we thought were hard, and people answered them quickly. So we've got to get more difficult.
Like I see some people in there Googling right now.
I kind of like it. Make them work a little bit. They are not being rude over here. I hardly have a voice left after the show this morning. I'm struggling. I went and got a shot today, but I'm trying to make it through it. So
you look good.
I'm getting a little Brady brother thing going on where I'm kind of voice is cracking a little bit, but we're going to make it through it as we.
Do you know which Brady brother had the voice crack that they did the show? Do you know which one? There's a trivia question.
I didn't watch the Brady Bunch.
Peter Brady. Do you know the name of the band that when they had their band that they went and sang?
I'm gonna say this again. I didn't watch the Brady Bunch.
The Silver Platters.
I watched the A-Team and stuff like that. He-Man. I didn't watch the damn Brady Bunch.
Yeah, Silver Platters, because they were trying to get an anniversary present for their parents, and it got all screwed up because Peter lost his voice before the talent show.
Hey, Chase,
so they changed it.
Take over. I can't.
They wrote their own song and everything. Do you know the name of the song?
Nobody. Oh God!
Time to change.
We got another Brady Bunch fan. Jeez, can you cut his mic off?
I can.
All right.
See, Chase now wants me to go back and watch the Cubs. I've now derailed the entire show. No, it's good.
Lee, turn it off.
As we're switching things up a little bit, getting away from basketball, getting to football. Last time Ole Miss and Alabama were in Oxford, Chad Kelly with a very big night, or very big day. Ole Miss loses that one 48-43, but he is the last quarterback to beat Alabama for Ole Miss. You and Chad have gotten very, very close during his time here, and then time now with Denver. We've always talked about his maturity, where he, for the most part, stayed out of trouble when he was here, but it had to take that next step. He had to kind of become a professional when he got to Denver. How did you kind of see that transformation process from when he gets drafted, Mr. Irrelevant, probably cost himself some rounds in the draft with some different personal things, and then to now where he's at least solidified employment in the NFL?
You know, looking back on his, as we talk, it's fun watching him as he grows up because, every decision that he made it. So, as we've grown up, you understand that with every decision there's a consequence, right? But I think with Chad, people don't understand, he's always been an underdog. His family, they don't have a lot, at all.
And see, that's kind of hard for the normal person because
right.
your uncle's Jim Kelly.
Well,
I mean, that's not what would come to your mind at all. If anything, you'd go the other way where you think maybe he was given opportunities because of his name.
Well, yeah, and with his dad, I don't want to get too personal, but they all struggle. I mean, his dad and mom work real hard. Mom's a school teacher, and but I think Chad put more pressure on himself to make it in the NFL, to take care of his family. And but saying that, coming off 2 knee surgeries, a wrist surgery, he's really grown up, and I know I actually realized that when Russell was with me. We did the football camp, you got to believe, down in Jackson. And so we had about 2 hours to spare. So Russell and I and a couple other guys thought we were going to go eat lunch, and Chad was, let's go to the Children's Hospital. And I was thinking, we'll go later. Let's go get something to eat. Well, he went and saw Madison Manning, and coming to find out about this, Chad and Madison, they talk about it every other day, which I had no clue.
Really?
But Chad had had his jersey. They signed it for him. We spent about 45 minutes with Madison. Russell was there with us, and just that bond. Like, to me, it showed me that he's finally getting it. It's not about Chad. It's not about Ole Miss. It's about using your platform to help others out. And I think for me, that was really cool to see. And then Madison's mother, she serves in the National Guard. So does his father. And so just, getting there, talking with them and seeing that relationship, seeing him grow up, just those decisions that he was making or have made with me around, it's really been cool because I want him to be a successful person. And, now that he's made it, which was really cool, but he's got to keep it.
We take a break to tell you that guests join our podcast on the Billy's Pecans hotline. Billy's Pecans has a complete selection of pecans, goodies, jellies, coffee cakes. We tell you about the cinnamon spice pecans all the time. The toasted pecans are awesome. All sorts of chocolate pecans, milk chocolate, dark chocolate, white chocolate, chocolate amaretto, chocolate Grand Marnier, the cheese crispies, I should say, the coffee cakes. Everything's great at Billy's Pecans, whether you're getting ready for a high school tailgate, getting ready for a college tailgate, getting ready to make a road trip to Houston or wherever. Billy's Pecans is a great option. You'll be thrilled that you have some Billy's Pecans with you on your tailgate, on your trip. It's billyspecans.com or 1-800-624-7404. The podcast is also brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. 7 South celebrating 10 years of business this season. Try 7 South once. You'll never tailgate without them again. 7 South will set up your own personal gear, or you can rent everything from them. No one matches their customer service, their attention to detail. Whether you're coming up for one game this fall or all the games this fall or anything in between, whether your tailgate is intricate or really very simple, 7 South can take care of you. 7southtailgating.com. If you're in the Birmingham area and you're in the real estate market, perhaps get in touch with Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So please visit her website at meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANMphillips.com. Or call Megan at 205-602-7929. Again, 205-602-7929. And this podcast is brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB is locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with the live person. There's no 10 buttons to press, no 5-minute wait. OUB also offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
NFL, it's cutthroat. So, every time I talk to him, like last week, he was working on a PowerPoint presentation, and, he was like, he called me, he's like, bro, I don't know, what's the power, I have no clue what to do.
Why was he having to do a PowerPoint?
Apparently they make the backup and I guess Case Keenum, they do a PowerPoint presentation on the defense they're actually facing that week. So
Okay.
they got to present what to do in coverages, or if they show this man, this blitz, zone, whatever it may be, they have to show, do a presentation on how they're going to, what audible are they going to? Because they run like 4 or 5 different audibles.
Okay.
So one play can have 4 or 5 different audibles. So it's so complex. I know Freeze had a very complex offense.
But it's nothing like an NFL offense. No college program.
No,
is.
not at all.
Right.
And Longo, I don't know about his offense, how complex it is.
Yeah, but NFL offenses are.
But the way they treat it, though, it's a business. So I think with Chad, he gets that, and he does not want to lose. He's worked so hard to get to that backup. He doesn't want to be a backup. He wants to be the starter. But just like Case Keenum told him, the press conference they had after they announced Case pulled him to the side and said, I've been in the league for 7 years.
Right.
I've been cut, I think he said 6 times by the same team twice. He said, I finally got my shot last year because of an injury to, who was it?
Bridgewater.
Yeah. And he said,
Chase's boy, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. Chase, look. But,
Amen.
But he finally got an opportunity, and then he cashed in.
Yeah.
So he said, NFL, just like he mentioned Tom Brady, he said nobody knows Tom Brady. Who was this kid out of Michigan or whatever, and then Bledsoe gets hurt.
Yeah.
The rest is history. So, you have to be patient. I think that's one thing we've talked about is, it's in business. You got to be patient. You know that, and I know that, and Chase knows it. It takes time to build something, and you'll get some breaks, but it takes time.
I was going to ask because I don't know Case Keenum. And so this is an observation from afar, and we try not to, on this show, talk a lot about the Minnesota Vikings a year ago because it's
still kind of painful.
It's a little raw.
Yeah.
The scab has begun to form, but it still hurts when you hit it against the bedpost or something. Keenum seems like a guy that is pretty level-headed. He seems like a guy that's a hard worker, that's a preparer, that's all that stuff. He seems like the absolute perfect sort of guy for a guy like Chad to sponge from. Does he see it that way as well?
Exactly. It's kind of the same way as and Chad's told me this, Brett Favre with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years and learned?
Yeah.
It might have been 4 years. And so Case and him have Chad respects Case. Now, Paxton Lynch is another story. Just lazy. And I think with Case and Chad, they would stay after practice, throw the receivers. Paxton would leave. So, I think that had a lot to do with do you want it? And Case is, taking Chad under the wing and just trying to help him because he, if it's not with the Broncos, it might be somewhere else. So he understands that, but he's just trying to be a mentor to Chad.
I know you're going to be humble here, and I get it. But you played a pretty big role in that, too. I always thought that some of the whole stuff that he did in college was overblown because he acted like an ass on the Clemson sideline, and he lost his spot. He paid for it, but he didn't commit a crime. He didn't do anything illegal. He just acted like a kid. And he had to go to scuba. Nothing against anybody that's been in scuba, but nobody puts scuba in the same sentence with Macomb and Ruston. Let's put it that way.
Not at all.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
That's more like Amory, Scuba, Hatley. Those are those kind of places. It's not like Ruston, Macomb, cultural kind of places. You know what I mean?
It's a different culture.
Yeah, so he had to go to scuba for a year, paid the price. He goes to Oxford. I'm sure he did some things here that he wasn't supposed to do, but he never did anything insane. I always thought that part was overplayed, the whole he's immature, he's got all these off-the-field problems, etc. Yet that seemed to kind of hang over him into the NFL, and he's not let that frustrate him. Instead, he's kind of surrounded himself with good people like you as a mentor, and it seems to have finally kind of paid off a little.
Yeah, and I think, like anything, you are who you surround yourself with, as far as friends. And, every decision he's made, we've talked about it, especially with the one with his brother. I think we talked about it the next day, and, I would have done the same thing.
Exactly.
And so, but
the only thing that he ever did that I said that was stupid was the bar thing in Buffalo.
Right.
Just being there at that hour. But the whole thing with this brother, if your brother's in a fight 50 yards away, you go running across the field. That's just what you do.
Yeah, and, but it is kind of neat watching him, though, and learning from those mistakes and not putting yourself in a situation to make that mistake because people are always watching him to mess up. And he understands that, and I think that drives him because he does feel like it's him against the world, and so there's your bride.
I know.
Everything, the whole mood changed. Our conversation completely changed. Hey, Laura. But it is neat, and it's really, and look, he might mess up again, which we all have. But I think it's the friends that he has now will help him get through that. Just if I messed up or whoever it is messed up, it's the support you put around yourself. But I'm proud of him, and we talk about it every other day, and especially when somebody's good to your kids.
Yeah.
And he'll FaceTimes my girls, and to me, when somebody's good to your children, that means everything to me. You don't have to be good to me, but my kids.
I messed with him when he came to the Clark Ford Studios to do the show, and I said, "Hey, tell me where you go in Denver." This is a funny story, because I'm thinking he's going to tell me about some bar or something, and his eyes kind of light up, and I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be good." That's what I'm thinking to myself, and he goes, and I can't think of the name of the place, which ruins the story, but he's like, "There's this place that it's like Simply Green or whatever, and it's a salad place." And he's all fired up about you go get these salads, man, and they have all these. And I'm like, yeah, you've matured a little bit, maybe even too much at this point, Chad.
Look, but sometimes those answers you get, you're going, wait a minute, how old are you? but I think that's the innocence, and that's where we, if it's me or you, whoever it may be, when a kid, try to help them get along, and if you mesh well together, and I think it's our duty to make sure you help a kid out, from not making the same mistakes we might have made, or help them guide them through that, because I just want to see him be successful. Not I say in the NFL, but just in life. NFL, it might not work out.
Now, when you go to Denver sometime this season, and I say to you, right, where did you go? I don't want to hear I went to Simply Green or whatever. I'd like a little more lively story. Yeah,
we're trying to put a trip together. I think they play St. Louis. I can't remember the date. But anyway, my wife and I are going, and so Chad's putting us up somewhere. I don't know where he's putting us up, actually, but I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, we're not going to anything called Simply Green, so it should be a good steak place or somewhere. But I would do salads.
I would guess there.
I don't do salads nor the Brady Bunch.
Okay, no salads, no Brady Bunch. I am actually told that Denver has in all seriousness, Chase, you like this, they have like a very vibrant foodie scene.
What?
Foodie, like restaurants that are really popular, that chefs are moving there from like New York and San Francisco and stuff. Kind
of like Macomb and Ruston.
Very similar to Ruston, and I'm sure Macomb.
I guarantee we have the same thing in Macomb.
Yeah, Ruston is like, man, it's like amazing. Yeah,
it is.
It's a lot like New Orleans.
It really is.
It's in the same state.
Still waiting on a winner with our Blue Delta Jeans trivia question
you
tonight.
Might have stumped people.
We've got several wrong answers, so if you've submitted one, you are incorrect to this point that I have. Again, how many times has Ole Miss beaten Alabama in Oxford, and then Ole Miss's point total in those games?
How many times have they played?
A lot.
So
I mean, they played in Jackson though for a long time. There's really not as many Oxford games as you would think.
So is that a trick question?
Yeah, no.
You said in Oxford, not in Jackson.
Yeah, in Oxford.
So it wouldn't be. Did they ever beat them in Jackson?
Probably.
Trick. Chase, I see what you're doing.
No, I said Oxford.
All right, so let me ask you this, because you participated in some Ole Miss Alabama games. Was the week leading up to the Alabama game different? Was it a different vibe? I mean, given the tradition of their program and all of that stuff.
Not really. They weren't really good when we came through. I think Shula was the coach, but their stadium's really cool. Just that vibe. But it'd be different now if you're a kid walking into, Bryant Denton Stadium with Nick Saban, and I think the culture's completely changed at Bama. Like it was what it was when Bear Bryant was there. Just the history. But yeah, when I was there, it was pretty. We missed 3 field goals and lost the game, and I remember Todd Wade grabbing our kicker up and telling him he was going to kill him after the game. He's like, you got one damn job to do, is kick a ball, and you can't even do that right. I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was at least 2 extra points and then a field goal. Yeah. It seems like. What was that guy's name? Neil and I were trying to figure that out.
I'm going to say his name. Well, I got another story. I don't want to. Well, it's Donald Juno.
It was Donald
I got
Juno.
It right.
Okay.
But I tell you, the worst part about that is when we got home, we lived kind of next door to each other. So I was like, come on, man, I'll take you home. So we're driving. We get pulled over. So the cop walks up, gets his license from Donald, and looks at his license and says, "You're the Ole Miss kicker?" And Donald's like, yeah, that's me. He's like, "Man, you're not worth the time to write a ticket." And he's like,
he let him go.
Let him go because he's like.
See, in Tuscaloosa, he had been thrown under the jail after that weekend.
But I felt horrible. I was like, man, that is a crappy. But I mean, I get it.
Tuberville called him completely out.
He did. But
I mean, he was like, yeah, we didn't have a kicker. We'll have one next week.
In Tuscaloosa, they would have charged him with whatever unsolved murder there was within a 100-mile radius of Tuscaloosa. They would have gone and charged him, convicted him.
Yeah, but it was that was a bad deal, man, because Donald was a good dude, and after that, he transferred, and I think Carlisle McGee or somebody took over that spot, and then Les Beakley came in. And
as the holder, do you get pissed off at the kicker when things are happening? I mean, you have
who? Neil? You talking about Neil?
No, neither one of you.
Neil's mad because the Cubs are losing right now.
They're not losing.
Are they winning? Is
They're
that why
tied.
you're smiling?
They're tied. I'm laughing at the holder question.
Laura walked in, you started smiling at her if the Cubs are winning.
She's not going to boil you any peanuts if you keep staying mean.
I know. I'm not going to say her name again because I got to have my peanuts. I love my peanuts, Miss Laura. The best.
So is that it from Alabama?
Answer Chase's question. Were you when you were the holder and a kicker missed the kick, were you pissed at the kicker?
No.
How many times did a kicker miss a kick and you knew it was your fault as the holder?
And missed it?
Yeah.
I actually messed up one in Binkley. I tell you, I messed up the hold against. Was it Oklahoma that we beat them in? As time expired.
On the kick?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had laces in, I believe.
On the winning kick?
Yeah, on the winning kick. Yeah, I think it was. But Les was so automatic. Anything like 38 yards in, he was going to make.
No, hold on now. That was like the last win of the millennium or whatever. That was the last game of the millennium, the whole New Year's Eve thing. You had the laces in on that kick.
I think I did, yeah.
What was your philosophy on that? Because
it just hurt their feet, like the top of their foot.
But if you didn't think you could turn it in time, you just left it,
right?
You
don't touch it. Yeah, because Les liked it. He liked his ball tilted an inch towards me. Everybody, like Carlisle McGee, if I remember Carlisle, he liked it straight up. But Les liked it if it was an inch off, it'd mess up his kick. So it was leaned in correctly. But the laces, I couldn't get it. I mean, I think the field might have been, I can't remember exactly, but when I went to spin it with my hand, it stayed. And I was like, screw it. But he made it.
Did you have a second in your mind, like almost like a car crash where you go, oh my God, I've just cost the team this game?
Well, I was going to blame it on Les if he lost
his
the
fault.
game. Yeah, it's not my fault. I did my job.
We take a break from the show to tell you that this podcast is brought to you by Robert Gambrell and Gambrell and Associates. Robert knows that many of the people listening to this podcast will never need a bankruptcy attorney or a Social Security disability attorney. However, many of you may be interested in reviewing your financial situation to consider asset protection. This is a part of what a good bankruptcy attorney does. And also, many of you have friends and or relatives that get into difficult financial situations. Gambrell and Associates helps many people work through their times of hardship, whether that results in filing a bankruptcy petition or working to avoid a bankruptcy filing. Others are primarily worried about their credit scores. For those people, many times Gambrell and Associates refer their clients to Brian McLaurin, another advertiser on this podcast. Sometimes people find the easiest way to rebuild credit is similar to what the Cubs did. Tear it down, start over. This can be done by filing for relief under Chapter 7 to get a fresh start. Whatever your needs are, you, your relatives, or friends can get a free consultation for 1 hour or more to help make your decision on what is best for you. Check out Robert Gambrell on avvo.com, superlawyers.com, or give him a call, 662-281-8800. This podcast is also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan. Located just off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. Grenada Nissan has a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. Gene and Sandy have been with the website, the podcast, a long time. They're great people, great service, great product. You will love doing business with the people at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. The podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. Harry's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. It's harryalexander.com. Click on the Properties Neighborhoods tab, filter through by what you are looking for, and then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. And Rebel Nation, 2018 is the year of the fan. Ole Miss Athletics wants to showcase your stories and recognize you, the Ole Miss fan base. Exciting prizes and experiences throughout the year will be featured on omyearofthefan.com and updated often, so be sure to visit omyearofthefan.com. Now back to the podcast.
So, kind of what are your thoughts as a former player? You've watched kind of what's unfolded the last year and a half with all the things that have happened with that program. Matt Luke's the coach now, coming off of the last couple of weeks. Just kind of your thoughts on the state of that program.
To me, we're finally getting back to normal, and I think that's what Matt brings. Matt's. I played 3 years with Matt, and he's just a hard-nosed, blue-collar worker, and he has not changed since 20 years ago. He's still the same guy, and he's a leader. And I think with Matt, too, the kids, I think, and this too, y'all, if he would not have gotten this job, we'd have a lot more guys transferring. The NWO would not have been the NWO. And I think if like when he got announced as the head coach, I think A.J. Brown was the first one that hugged him at that video. So to me, that's a sign of respect. They trust Matt. I think this year, just the vibe's different. The kids are smiling now. They're having fun. We went to the Houston game with the team and against Texas Tech, and it's kind of when Matt was with Cutcliffe, it's a different. It's that kind of same vibe. It's the kids are just having fun, and
it's obviously, as we talked about with Kermit, it's going to come down to recruiting.
And you got to win. But I think y'all keep talking about this class coming up. This is 2019 being a great class and kind of a make break. And I think Matt knows that. And every high school coach that I've talked to in the state of Mississippi, they have nothing but respect for Matt. But the problem is everybody loves Moorhead too. Coach Moorhead's not an ass like Mullen. A lot of high school coaches in the state of Mississippi, they would not let Mullen in, they wouldn't let him in. They might not be an Ole Miss fan, they just couldn't stand him.
Yeah, there were some high-profile programs that were beginning to shut those doors. Yeah.
And so, and Moorhead, he's just a football coach, kind of like Matt. I'm a football coach. I'm not going to sit here and talk trash about anybody. I'm paid to coach. And so I think, it is a different feel, just like with Coach Davis. Get past all the stuff that went on last year with both programs. Let's just move on. And as a fan, what drives me nuts is when people say I didn't renew my football tickets. Well, you're not a damn fan then, in my opinion. How do you feel on that whole, I know it's another topic, but.
I have a philosophy that I don't want to get away from, because I've always said I'm never going to tell people how to spend their money. So I'll leave that to you as a letterman and stuff, and I'll
I respect
try to
that,
be consistent.
But some of these folks I run into, like some friends of mine, they've been coming forever too, and they're like, well, I don't like what they did with this, and that's cool, but don't sit there and bitch about the program,
You mentioned the atmosphere around, you didn't mention it directly, you mentioned it kind of indirectly, the atmosphere around that rivalry, which in my opinion, and I think you share it, I feel pretty confident Chase does, it's gotten overly caustic to the point where it's not healthy. It's not a rivalry anymore. It's just kind of hate. Do you sense that with Matt Luke and Joe Moorhead and with Mullen gone and all of that maybe it'll go back to just being a football rivalry where it won't be so personal and nasty?
I agree 100%. Like, it's completely changed. You can tell with players and friends. I have a lot of friends that are huge state fans, and they love Mullen. They love that whole the way he would just own it and talk trash. And but I think now it got to a point where it got really when kids start getting in trouble, like if it's Leo Lewis, like I look at Leo Lewis and I feel bad for him. I don't care what anybody says about what he did. Well, he's an 18-year-old kid.
He was a pawn.
Yeah, he was a pawn, and that sucks. But that's just to get us in trouble. So anyway, it needed to. It was fun at first with Mullen, getting at it with Freeze, and it got to sell tickets, and it did great for both programs at first. And then all of a sudden we started winning, they started winning, and then it just got really weird there, and fans just completely went to the left on both sides. But I think it's calmed down because it's not good for the state of Mississippi at all. I mean, it just gets old.
It seems like both schools are doing a little bit more, at least from a head coach standpoint and administration standpoint, to focus on themselves. I mean, Ole Miss, we asked Mike Espy last week, does it seem like finally, after so many years, that the administration's kind of bringing former players back, doing more with them during game days and different things? There seems to be a push there. And then with Moorhead as well, it seems like it's, hey, we want to still focus on in-state, focus on Mississippi, but it's not the antagonistic Mullen thing. It's more about, embracing kind of what they are as well as they move forward.
Yeah, and I think with Moorhead, he wants to put his identity on that program. He's not going to do the same stuff Mullen did. And, it's just like Marcus Johnson. I played at Ole Miss. He's the O-line coach at State. And I've talked to him a couple times. He's like, man, it's awesome. Just worked for Moorhead because he's so intelligent. He's a football coach. He doesn't talk about Ole Miss. He's worried about Mississippi State. How do we win? It's not about what can we do to hurt Ole Miss. It's not. He doesn't care about Ole Miss. He's there to coach State. And I think the same way with Matt, it's the same way. I'm here to coach Ole Miss, do my job, win games, and recruit. And sell tickets. So.
Anything else?
I think Laura, okay.
You don't think she wants to make an appearance?
I didn't know if she wants to make an appearance with me on this.
It's probably a good thing. She can have my microphone. You can ask questions. No, okay.
We've kept you for pretty much the entire show. I kept you for about 20 minutes longer than I meant to, but it's okay. It's all going well. Your pizza will still be hot in a minute. If it's not, we'll get you another one.
I know Lee will take care of me.
Yeah, he'll take care of you.
You want to be our guest picker on picks?
Oh,
you'll run through them real quick.
Yeah, we'll run through them quickly.
I'm glad Lee put my pizza in the warmer.
All right, we can do that too.
We'll start with the big one: UTEP at Tennessee.
UTEP. I hate Tennessee. I don't even know what the line is. I don't even care. UTEP.
I think the
plus 28.5.
28.5 points. Yeah.
UTEP's getting 28.5.
I hate Tennessee. UTEP.
Tennessee has Alabama, Auburn, Florida, and Georgia their next 4 games after this. So they're going 0-4
UTEP
at that
with
point.
upset.
I think Tennessee covers this line, and then things get bad.
Yeah, I do too.
They're bad, though. That is a toxic environment.
Well, Jeremy Pruitt is
Mr. Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, Mr. Jeremy Pruitt. Vanderbilt plus 13 at Notre Dame. This one's suddenly at least a little bit interesting as Vanderbilt has worn out Middle Tennessee and Nevada 2 weeks in a row. They're in South Bend getting 2 touchdowns this weekend.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame covering?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Vanderbilt covers this line.
Do you really?
I do. I think Vanderbilt covers this line this
What
weekend.
makes you think Vanderbilt covers the line?
He's got a cold.
Maybe I'm just finally over Ralph Webb. I'm moving on, and we're gonna take Vanderbilt.
Well,
Vandy does this every year, though.
From a metric standpoint, they're better than people thought they were going to be.
Kyle Shermer's been okay.
Yeah, they dismantled Nevada, and I know it's Nevada, but they dismantled them in a way that I think surprised a lot of people.
It's Vanderbilt.
But I'm laying the points. I like Notre Dame.
LSU plus 10. LSU getting 10 at Auburn.
Auburn.
Free money.
Yeah.
LSU.
I'm not impressed with Joe Burrow. I think Auburn's front 7 is going to get a lot done defensively and cover that line.
Auburn's good.
North Texas plus 8 at Arkansas.
Arkansas. Because of Joe Craddock, that's all.
Oh, that's true. You got
I pull
your cousin Joe Craddock.
Every game on Arkansas to win. Every game.
I actually think North Texas covers this line. They throw the ball all over the yard. They actually currently have more passing yards per game than Ole Miss currently. North Texas slinging it around. I think they cover against.
But they have played, and I know they have put up these numbers, but North Texas has played.
And Arkansas lost to Colorado State last week.
North Texas has played like Ouachita Parish High School and the Sisters of Incarnate Wood.
Yes.
I like Arkansas in this game. I think people are looking at numbers too much and not context.
Okay. Middle Tennessee State, speaking of, they lost by 28 to Vanderbilt earlier in the year. They're at Georgia, getting 31 this weekend.
31?
31.
I like that.
You like Middle?
Good, yeah. No, I like Georgia.
Oh, you're laying them?
Yeah.
I'm laying them too. 31, not enough against Middle Tennessee.
I'd lay 41.
Really?
Yeah.
Neil's
I think Georgia's the second best team in the country.
Neil's quarterback crush of the year is Drew Lock. Missouri at Purdue this weekend.
Yeah. I have a thing for
Purdue coming off a loss
him as a quarterback.
Purdue coming off a loss to Eastern Michigan last week. Missouri laying 7.5 at Purdue this weekend.
Lay them.
Yeah, lay them.
Even in West Lafayette last year.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about intimidating football venues, you don't come up with, no one goes to West Lafayette and comes out of there alive.
That's true.
Louisiana Monroe, Neil's one of his alma maters over here at Texas A&M a week after A&M scares Clemson, 25.5 for the Warhawks at A&M.
We're 2-0, although I'm just going to be honest, I don't think we can cover a 25.5-point line. I mean, I think we win big, but I think it's more like a 21-point win in College Station. I think Coach Viator is too classy to run the score up on A&M at home.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'll say ULM wins by, what's the line, 25?
25.5.
We'll win by 25.
Okay, fair enough.
We don't want to hurt the oil money people.
I'm going to go with A&M.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marshall plus 13.5 at South Carolina. The Gamecocks stinging after the loss to Georgia last week.
My money's on Hurricane Francis. That game's not getting played.
Oh, that's right.
I'll agree with Neil. But I would pick Marshall, though.
Okay. And then finally, Alabama minus 20.5 at Ole Miss on Saturday.
You can't do it. I will. I mean, look, I don't even think the line's big enough. Sorry, I don't think they can make the stops necessary to stay in that game. I think Ole Miss offensively can score points, but I don't. From what I've seen for 2 weeks, I don't see stops happening.
Yeah, I pointed it out on this morning show, on Thursday morning show. It's really the pass rush, and then Ole Miss with the missed tackles from not being in the right place defensively. The way Alabama's offense has become two-dimensional now with Tua and those running backs that are running through tackles, it just feels like you're going to have to see something we haven't seen to this point for Ole Miss.
I agree. I mean, I got to pick Ole Miss, but it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough. But we can do it.
You can pick Ole Miss. I picked ULM. We're good.
So we're going to close the show here with still no winner for the Blue Delta Jeans trivia question.
It's going to go into Friday for the first time.
If I turn the mic off, it will go into Friday. When people hear it on the show in the morning, they will have a chance to win this as well. We'll get the I asked for a number. How many wins in Oxford, and then the total points scored in the wins is the question.
No kidding.
393 is the correct answer.
I'll let you
Nice.
Yeah. So we did not get to Friday. We closed it out here on the show. So Ole Miss and Alabama picks will be up in its written form in the morning at rebelgrove.com. Back here next week. Ole Miss and Kent State next week. But Ole Miss and Alabama, 6 o'clock Saturday night from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Appreciate Ben hanging out with us, Neil and myself. Talk to you next week.